It is 4 p.m. on Tuesday, August 26th, and we'll call this session of the Park Board to order, and we'll start with roll call.
Miller.
Yes.
Sandy.
Yes.
Schaefer. Yes. Shipe.
Here.
Burns.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add 3 items to the agenda. 7E, discussion on the city fee schedule, or the park fee schedule. Item 8F, tree placement at J.C.'s Park. And item 8G, Lum Park Archway.
3 amendments to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second on the agenda amendments. Any further discussion? All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll move on to the consent calendar. It's a notice to the public. All matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be acted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar consisting of the approval of the minutes, disbursements, financial reports, and approval of the Touch a Truck and Flapjack Festival.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent calendar? Seeing none, please call the roll. Yes.
Sandy.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Shipe.
Yes.
Burns.
Very good. We'll move on to the public forum. Time allocated for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the board. Time limits may be imposed, so we'll open the public forum at 4:02. And seeing nobody hopping to the podium, we'll close the public forum at 4:02. And move on to 7A, discussion of community education and YMCA programs, timeline and agreement.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the YMCA and the Community Ed we were asked to put down a summary of their programs. And if you can bring that up on the screen, please, that attachment. There you go. Thank you. So that is the Community Ed program. You could see that they did have 2 programs that were canceled. And this outlines where they were, dates, and times and so forth down the line with that, and also the YMCA. And with that, it sort of goes into the next discussion item regarding the contracts and how we want to lay that out. These 2 topics sort of blend together. We were asking to look at those contracts. Do we want to pay them per activity versus just a lump sum? Because that would help alleviate the issues that we had this year. And so this is what, I forget who, someone wanted this information. So is there any other comments on this or questions for staff?
Yeah, we'll let Andrew start here.
If we could just get the age ranges for the YMCA activities as well, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And I think
Okay, for like the flag football and so forth, right, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I think for me, again, the point, if they're going to come and ask for $10,000, hypothetically, right? When they come with that ask, I just want to see what that money, what dollar amount is being assigned to those programs. So again, when we're speaking contract next time, when we have a specific activity that is canceled, we want our money back. Unless they come up with an alternative. I think that was something we discussed, right? Like if they're going to cancel junior slow pitch softball, if they're going to come up with a clinic or something like that that allows these kids to scrimmage and still utilize the money so that these kids can get out there and play ball, that's the preference. But we need to see on a program by program basis how they intend to use the money. Plus or minus, whatever that might be. But if we have a canceled activity and no money, all that money's being just spent on other programs, we need it to be itemized,
Right.
so that it's not, the same as last year. So I think that was it. If you can scroll back up to the other, to just the agenda item itself. And then Paul.
So I had just a few questions. So the third bullet point there, it says no lining of fields, only ball fields will be lined. Is that like, are we talking like soccer fields at like JC's or?
Right, so that
what
would
is
be
in
for
reference
next
to?
year, what we would be proposing. Right now, there's 4 elements. We give them money, we buy them supplies, we line the fields, and we don't charge them. So those are 4 elements that is on their side of the table, and a contract, like any type of business, it should be give and take. BBVA is, they have the same thing, but they provide a lot to our infrastructure. And so here, and this is just a discussion point, how do you want the next contracts to look like? And we have a proposal already sort of drafted, but those are those 4 key items. It would be really helpful with our staff if we didn't have to line the soccer and the flag football fields. Baseball is a different animal because it's a, you know, we're already there, we're grooming it, and it just takes a hot second to do that. So the baseball would be still, you know, we would still line that. But those are just ideas for the park board to give us recommendation, and what should that contract really look like?
I honestly think that we're providing these facilities for them to run our programs. And so from a supplies and a lining of fields, I feel like that is something that we should do as providers of the facilities. They don't have staff that is experienced in using that equipment, I wouldn't think. You know, from a supply standpoint, they likely don't have to do that anywhere else where they're having to purchase, whether it's lime or whatever for the fields or, so like those 2 items I feel like are a part of them running our programs and we should be providing that to them. Charging for the fields, again, I feel like that should be something that they're running our programs on our behalf. Why would we charge them for our field usage?
And I don't think I necessarily argue with you. I think one of the important things, and for the department as a whole, is we need to be able to quantify all this, right? Like, how long does it take our staff to do it? And we need numbers, right? It's the same when we're talking about, you know, I guess not necessarily striping pickleball, but it's the same thing with maintaining our fields for adult softball, things like that. We need to know we need to know the hours that it takes to maintain the field. So when they come to us with a $10,000 cash ask, totally fine. But how often are these folks going to be using our fields? And then how much does that equate to staff time, right? Like, if we need to go out and cut the grass on the softball field 2-3 times a week so that these folks can play, I mean, that's a quantifiable amount of staff time. And so, yeah, we're giving them $10,000 in cash, but how much staff time are we donating, right? How much, I mean, we should be able to quantify it. Not to say that even if the number is maybe relatively high to the eye, maybe it isn't something that, you know, is still a pain point for us, but we should know how much we're providing to these places to run our programs outside of internal management as well. So I think, you know, not just with this program, but with everything that even we do in-house, we should be able to quantify the amount of maintenance that we do on all of our amenities. So I think this is a good place to start, because this is a program that, you know, we have a contractual obligation to make sure that we get done, but kind of, again, moves to things that we're doing in-house as well. We need to be able to quantify how much time we spent on the fields and maintenance and administration, those types of things, and I think this is no different. So to Paul's point, yeah, I'm totally okay with the YMCA utilizing staff time to have things lined and utilizing our supplies, carry it, because, yeah, we're asking these guys to do something that requires a lot of administration time, and there's a savings there. But what does it look like? How much does it cost? And what are we giving to make that happen? So, Andrew?
Mike, do we know how much we've spent lining the non-baseball, softball fields this year?
No, I don't have that off the top of my head, no.
Do we know how much we spent dragging the fields for doing the chalk there?
No, we just, that's part of the process. We mow, drag them, line them, and move on. I can get a number per field, what that, timeline, how much time staffed is on that. And we could quantify the actual lining too, and of that to get a dollar amount of the supplies and so forth.
I think this is important, I think, for the future of all the programming to understand what it costs us, right? Because there is a certain element to even the adult programs, right, where we don't necessarily know the cost, right? And so we are charging a certain amount of money, and it's hard to come back, and we had this discussion, I think, previously in some of our other, like, end-of-season meetings, right? It's hard to come back and ask for more money or justify a certain fee schedule if we can't put a number to what it actually costs us to run these programs, right? And it's the same with the YMCA, right? Like, if we're giving these guys all the amenities and all the labor for free, what does it actually cost us? And it's the same with adult sports, right? I think this would be a good spot for us to start doing this and be able to, because we can apply that same logic to, our adult rec as well. So I think
I don't think it's as granular as like certain fields. Like,
Yeah.
let's just take one representative baseball field and
yeah,
say,
right. And what does it take to
this
strike,
many hours,
mow, and drag?
one soccer field.
Yeah.
Right.
How many times hit the line?
Yeah, this doesn't need to be an
What kind of
exact
supplies
science,
do you
right?
need?
Yeah.
How often do we run through it? And let's just get some ballpark. It doesn't have to be granular. It just needs
Right.
to be something that we can point back to and say, it costs us over the course of adult softball this much to maintain the 3 fields at Memorial Park. That's justifying the fee increase. We have wages, we have equipment, we have,
If it's necessary,
Yeah,
right? Like, and I mean,
exactly.
we don't know
Yep.
that, right?
Right.
And so there were conversations in the past that, we're losing money on adult rec. I mean, this is another example of like, okay, well, how much, again, we're not losing money in a sense. We are spending money to provide to provide youth sports through other organizations across the city. But what does it cost us to do that? And it's the same thing with adult sports, is what does it cost us to run these programs internally? And does the fee schedule reflect that, right? And, again, outside of administration and all those other things too. So I think this is a good place for us to start, since these contracts have to come up, relatively soon, and we have to be able to agree to them. But, not that we need this done by the time that we sign the agreement, I think, but I think as we move into this next season, let's be kind of mindful of those expenses. Dave?
Yeah, so I think it goes beyond just the sports as well, though. I think we need to groom our fields. We have them. We have ordinances in the city. The fields need to be, the grass needs to be cut. So the work needs to get done. I think we need to do a better job of figuring out how long those things take in general, regardless of who's using it or not using it. And then that way we can take that information and transfer it into, hey, by the way, this field is getting groomed for XYZ, whether it's Baseball Association or for YMCA or for community ed. And then I think beyond that, the striping and the things that go beyond that, once we've got a baseline for it, we can figure out what those additional things are. And that may lead to a conversation of, hey, for this, we're not going to drag the fields or stripe the fields. Maybe it leads into that, but at least there's a conversation where we know. I think we should just know that information on our end to begin with. Mm-hmm. It's tough to make decisions without knowing that. Secondarily, can you scroll back down to where the events were taking place? Because the other thing I want us to really do is hone in on what is happening where. Because I, on this thing here, see that Bronco baseball was taking place at Bain Park. But I saw the schedule that didn't have any Bronco baseball happening at Bain Park. Did Bronco baseball happen at Bain Park or not? Because I don't think it did. It did?
Well, yeah, as far as I know.
We did have games at Bain Park for Bronco? Okay. Because I think that's the other part of this that we need to iron out as well, is that within the agreements, there is a shared use agreement in which we're supposed to have a split usage. And I don't think that we're doing a very good job on our end of making sure that those things are happening. Making sure that, look, we're not paying you just to have programs. We're paying you to have activities for the youth of the city of Brainerd to have activities. And so it's hard for me to watch money from Brainerd get spread everywhere without some kind of quantitative agreement that says where those dollars are being spent. Because even if it's shared and it's here and there has to be some kind of usage of our stuff, because that was the whole point to begin with.
So I think to Dave's point, if we can add to our contractual asks, what that looks like, right? And I mean, even if it's in their biannual reports on field usage or something like that, because again, we get a breakdown of where the kids are from, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just throw it in. Where did you guys play? That's kind of it. I mean, I don't know necessarily YMCA, but
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is, when we see that things are canceled, right? Okay, so pony baseball, that was happening at the stadium, or at least it had been the last couple of years, and all of a sudden we're not using that again. So those are things that we have to figure out what that looks like and where those dollars are then being spent. Because the goal is to get butts in those seats. The goal is to use that stadium. It's not to spend money to just have things in general. We want to see butts in those seats. And if we're casting money on, that's what's getting canceled, but there's nothing that's coming back to that. And to your point earlier about what is the alternative then? Because the money went out for that. It was paid regardless of whether you held it or didn't hold it. And if you didn't hold it and the money is just expended anyways, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's a part of what the contract was. So I think back to your point of checks and balances along the way that put some kind of actionable item that can be said, well, what is your alternative then if those things are being canceled within our usage?
Okay. Couple thoughts. I do think that it should be like a package deal, like Paul was mentioning, right? It shouldn't be like line for line. But like the communication thing, like we touched on, needs to be huge. So if a program's canceled, okay, so we need to know about it, or you guys for sure need to know, like, hey, we're
Right.
canceling, we're sending emails, and then what is our plan B? So they did do great, eventually getting the Y to take over the girls softball, but let's say they can't, well then is that where we're like, okay, we paid you, so sure we could refund, or hey, they help us with your like last bullet point up there of like, we need some things done in the park. I don't know, like just an idea of like, hey, okay, well you have the money, so now we would really like you to, what's something we need that they could afford, but like maybe we use it towards that, or they give us money back, or however that works. But we just need communication with our community too, or maybe we come up with a different program that we're getting kids in the seats somehow, or we're getting them out playing. But we just need to make sure that there's really good communication is my biggest thing, I think.
and I will give a little bit back to community education. Like some of these things, like you just really can't anticipate low turnout. Like you can have an idea on trends, but like some of these programs getting canceled, like I don't blame anybody internally for that. It's just it got canceled and we were all kind of left like, who's running this thing? And now we've got kids completely displaced for an entire season, which, we've already done that, 6 years ago. So let's not do it again. And so I think, I think we can all be a part of making sure that these sort of programs don't get just swept and we're coming up with alternatives. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say that each program is that there's a cost to each one, but because it's not really how we've done it. We've done it as this is your pitch, but they have pitched those programs specifically. And when those aren't getting done, then from our standpoint, there is what are we doing, right? And it's not a knock against either one of the programs. It's just more so we have to be accountable to the dollars. And so when the dollars go out, are the dollars just being used administratively, or where are the dollars being spent? Because the goal of this, again, is kids on grass.
One more thing, if we were looking at staff time, obviously prepping a tennis court, we still want to know how long, or what maintenance needs to be done in a tennis court. On a basketball court, I mean, there's those couple of programs, I get it, it's totally different than the baseball striping and all, but it would still be, if we want all that data,
Yeah,
it
we
would be
need,
helpful just to throw in those couple hours, or how often are we restriping the baseball courts if we are, all that kind of stuff would be also helpful for.
just brick by brick, really. Like I said, we know that the entire, again, from firsthand experience, we know that cataloging the entire system and all the amenities can be grueling. So kind of the same thing. To Paul's point, let's just get one. What does it take? And let's just kind of blueprint it. And then how long are we taking to cut grass and O'Brien Park. I mean, well, you know, those types of things, over time, we'll be able to catalog all of those things, and it'll help us make really informed decisions on partnerships like this in the future. Mike?
So just to recap, so getting a cost per field, cost per season, cost for all fields, courts, so forth, and then looking at the contract, if there is something that's canceled, what is the process with a canceled program? Whether it is they don't get paid for it, or they come up with another alternative program to get more kids involved in a program, whether it be a free program or whatever.
Or purchasing equipment for use in a future year's program, or whatever that is,
Right.
batting cages,
Something.
whatever, like,
Just want to know.
maybe it's a 1 through 3 item, you should first consider alternative program. Number 2 is, you know, divert the funds to purchase equipment that might be obsolete. Item 3 is return the funds to the city. I mean,
Yeah,
at least then there's an itemized list that says.
let's just have a plan
Yep,
with,
About
when,
planting a tree,
planting a tree, yeah.
building a berm.
Building a berm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But for real, like,
Shovels out.
anything but what happened last season.
Right?
Basically, anything would be good. And I mean, that's the tough part. Again, we approve these and we take taxpayer dollars and hand them over to these programs. So we are accountable for when programs get canceled. And that's why they reach out to us and not community education, because community education and the YMCA programs are a reflection on the city of Brainerd. And so when this stuff happens, we're the people who have to answer to those conversations. And let's just do everything that we can. I mean, I don't speak to the leaders of those organizations on a regular basis. So let's keep the dialogue open, and let's just avoid that by being a little bit more specific on what we want to do in the future. So. And then they're here, yeah, that's right. They're both here on the 23rd, the next meeting.
Next
right?
month,
Okay.
right.
So, yeah. Like, Dave?
Yeah, are they just presenting a follow-up next meeting, or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the end of season report, right? And then they make their ask
Correct.
in October, November. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't think we need that's just direction, right? Okay,
Right.
very good. So then, if any more discussion on it? No? All right. We'll talk 7B then, the 2025 Loon Fest selling of merchandise at Mills Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just to clarify, this came up in a staff meeting, and just making sure that the park board knows it was on their application, but we just want to make sure that we're crossing our Ts and dotting our Is just extremely well. And we just would like you to approve that, yes, they are good to sell merchandise at Mills Field. That's all that it is. It's just general merchandise, T-shirts, cups, and the concert stuff. So I just want to be very clear, as we had some other hiccups, and I just want to make sure that it's exactly how it is.
JD's comments on this is support of them selling merch. Kind of same for me. It is common practice at concerts and helps them be viable and hopefully continue to operate and bring more people to the area. So I'm, again, this is a rock concert, bands and stuff selling merch, just commonplace. So I'm in support of that.
I'll make a motion to approve Loon Fest selling merchandise at Mills Field at Loon Fest.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second discussion. Andrew.
I'm not sure we've approved this for other events, and so that's why I'm a little confused.
Correct. And why it is that the legal attorney had a comment on making sure that we got that approved of. Our normal practice, when it's on the application, whether it be sound, going past park hours, whatever it is on the application, if we're going against one of our ordinances, as long as it's on the application and the park board and the city council approve, then therefore it's approved. The city attorney just wanted to emphasize that. I thought it was covered. Another person wanted it to be completely 100% confirmed that you guys, everyone's okay. So I'm just following direction.
Sure. Any further discussion on the motion?
I have a question, actually.
Yes.
But our logo will not be on it.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes. Dave.
I'm just curious, is that something that you guys are concerned about, moving forward with events?
I think I've assumed events.
Yeah,
are
they
like-
just, in general, all events that have taken place, private events that have taken place in the city of Brainerd have been allowed to hawk their wares the entire time, like in Arts in the Park or
Yeah, I was
something.
gonna say Arts in the Park is really no different.
I'm not speaking
Theoretically.
from any
No, I know,
specific event.
I
I'm
think
just-
theoretically, that was my assumption, that if I approve a private event application, that folks have been able to hawk their wares for their event, so.
like Lakes Area Music Festival, they
Yeah.
did the Lyman P.
Yep.
White thing. Like I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
they had merch.
Yeah, there was merch, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. I think that was just the assumption we've always made. So if that just needs to be, like, I guess, to your guys' point, if that just needs to be something that's ironed out on the application, and when we do a sweeping vote to approve the application, that's just, we're aware that there's somebody selling something, and we gave them the thumbs up, for the future, I guess.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
I
don't have
think
to do
just
a
the
separate
standard
vote?
practice has been good. It's just that someone was very concerned to making sure that we dotted every
Sure.
T and dotted every I.
And that's what I'm saying too. Like if they put it on their application, I think
Right.
Standard practice now going forward is going to be if they're selling some sort of goods for their private event on property, and we need to get approval to just to cross the T's, dot the I's, whatever it might be. Let's just make sure that when we approve the application, it's done, right? Like they're selling merch. We know that it's approved, sort of thing. So obviously council approved this one, but Dave.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not adding extra staff work and stuff to it as well, because we could hypothetically ask for confirmation on all that stuff. I just want to make sure that we're not doing that. Because you could ask for confirmation that you have a license to sell and all this other stuff. I don't want our staff to get involved with that. Too much paperwork, too much stuff for people to do. What I would say is follow all state and local laws would be my recommendation to most people.
Andrew, do you have a further comment?
Oh, I'm just thinking like the Flapjack Festival is going to be selling water tower stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know.
I go back, as long as it's on the application and
Yeah,
they disclose it on the application and we approve it.
I think I'm reading it too much into this. Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of us might be. I just want to make sure that, for the future, that if that is a listed thing and they're going to be selling it, when we approve the application, it's a done deal.
Right.
Just for standard practice on the forward of that. So, still, any further comments on the motion? All in favor of allowing Loonfest to sell their merchandise at Mills Field, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We'll move on to 7C, the review of the priority plan.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we wanted to make sure that we're going in the right direction with this proposal. And if you could scroll down, please, on the attachment. So this is, on the left-hand side is the long-term goals. On the right is the short-term goals. And on the left, the long-term goal, yearly planning. So we listed out what we're doing for yearly planning, adult programming. We listed out what we're doing for adult programming and so forth. We just want to make sure before we run down this marathon that we're going the right direction. So we just looking for input and direction, please.
Any input or direction for staff before we begin the marathon? Andrew.
I'll start with the yearly plan. I think our goal there was more, not so much maintenance, but more kind of board activities. Like the budget one is great, right? When should we be doing?
Right.
And I would even like to see that broken out more. Like when should we do our initial capital discussion? Like probably late spring, and then full board discussion of that summer, and then council presentation. But mapping that out, any grants we want to apply for, right? We're doing that. Similar time, check-ins with like our park partner orgs, right? So the Lions, JC's, Kiwanis, right? Having that kind of a set time every year.
Like the fee schedule, reviewing our
Yes.
contracts,
Yeah.
something like that. Okay, good, thank you.
And then, to Andrew's point, I really like that, just to piggyback off that, hold your thought. I like the, actually reaching out to the park partners, and maybe if they want to come in annually, like a slotting time and having them be able to come in and speak to us about any things they like cooking in their plant, their.
I think like an annual park
Yeah.
board calendar would
Yeah.
be like something of like major events that we should just slot into a calendar and say, this is when park board should have their first discussion about budget. This is when we should reach out to YMCA and community ed. This is when we should talk to partner organizations.
Yeah,
That way it's just consistent every year. We just, boom, it pops up on an agenda. We just know what's happening. Right.
and so I think, Dave.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that also gives good direction to our staff as to, you're able to push some of those conversations off. You know, everything is not a life and death must do it now situation. Sometimes people miss the mark and we gotta wait a year, right? So if we have a calendar that's set up with that, you go, look, we talk about this in September.
Right.
So we'll get you lined up for that.
Such as like our discussion we had earlier in the year regarding the memorial bench. And it's like, we
Yes.
just can't be planting a memorial bench in the middle of the summer. We just, it's tough. So, right.
And I think, that was kind of the point there, like for yearly planning, is just saying, okay, when are we doing these things? The things that we do every year, but when, like, let's just have a time and date, or relative time and date that we can set, and we say, okay, this is coming when we're ready for it, right? And staff is as well. So it gives us all a little bit better, more breathing room and plan time.
Good. And this could be just a ongoing, livable, breathable thing that we do. So, okay.
Absolutely. I
good.
mean, it's something that we could even discuss at some point, like, are these things necessary on our schedule anymore? Do we need to add any
Right.
more things like that? Dave?
Good.
That could be something you add to your yearly agenda, is when do you talk about the yearly agenda? My comment was just gonna be, could we potentially break these off into board and staff?
Oh.
So that these are when the board talks about these things, but these are the things that the staff is getting done on these times. Because obviously, the board is not winterizing bathrooms, but the board has conversations that they will need to have with it. So having the two lists that coexist, but also potentially, speaking of things, happen before the actual thing. So it would just not necessarily align.
That's good. Perfect. Any other questions?
yeah,
Lisa, Kayla, any direction? Are you guys good with that? Okay.
Other
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, no, for sure. Other comments?
Anything
Yeah.
on here,
What's
right?
that?
Anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
let her rip.
So, I'm gonna bring up the beach.
Yep.
So the maintain safe swimming areas with ropes, buoys, and clear signage would also, I'd want to, kind of make sure, I know we're talking right above that raking and grooming of sand, but I think maintaining safe swimming is also maintaining the weeds and, what's actually in the lake so that people can safely swim in there. So just making sure that we're staying on top of that.
Right. So when you indicate the buoys, we don't currently have buoys there.
Sure, I know. Well, I'm just reading what you wrote, I guess.
Right.
I don't know if that's for the future as we're planning, I would assume, right?
Well, that is just something
Or-
that we had buoys on that? Oh, yes, that was just, okay.
That's a
Right.
great idea. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and those are just ideas that we wanted to talk about to see where you want to, how far you want to go. But I just wanted to be clear that we don't have buoys right now, but this is just, again, a direction. Where do you
Yeah.
want us to go with this?
Okay.
And we want, we don't want to start running down this road and we're going the wrong direction.
Okay, so some of these are just like
Ideas, right?
Okay. Well, I would like to add, the weed thing would be, my passion, all of our passions for making sure people are swimming.
Right?
I think that would be important to try to, keep that up. And maybe we want to add that to grass. But we can keep it under the beach too, but,
Right.
yeah.
I was going to bring up the weed and feed program. I think in general, I think this has been a really bad year for weeds because you drive around town right now and there's weeds everywhere, curb lines, roundabouts, whatever it may be. I think a strong focus on not only keeping our public spaces weed free, given our city code, that's like the highest thing on my priority list. Like that's like your parks and the entrances in your community are such a that's the first thing people see when they're coming into town. And if it's weed infested grass or whatever it may be, it puts a bad image, I think, on the city for people coming to town, visitors, residents, whatever it may be. And I'm sure it causes disruption at City Hall too when you get a grass complaint and somebody says, well, the city doesn't maintain, their roundabouts or their curb lines or whatever it is. Like, it just seems like this year's been inordinately bad, and I don't know if it's just the type of year we've had, but
Right. We did just address downtown and apologize for not getting that sooner, but that is completed, and now we are jumping on the roundabouts. It's a big lift.
it's a big lift, yeah.
It is.
I mean, I know like at some point we discussed like trying to partner with organizations, like do an adopt a roundabout program where Kiwanis, do the one right in front of your park, There's, I think, opportunities to partner in some community
Right.
type events to try to get some of that done, because it is a long task. But I think once you get ahead of it and just keep it up, then it's,
We're going to also we're going to have one individual next year. We're just brainstorming ideas, just having one person doing a roundup, once a week, just going to these spots and just hitting them. So when you address it like that, it's much more manageable versus pulling the weeds every 3 months.
yep.
So,
Yes, Andrew.
So for grass, is there a mowing schedule or is that an idea?
no, there is a mowing schedule, but it's not written down. That is one thing that we are going to be doing, is that we are going to be, essentially, we will have a 52-week schedule of every staff person doing something for the entire year. That's something that I'm going to be looking at this winter, and we are going to be putting that together. Every division is going to have some type of efficiencies. Transit is going to do key indicators. Engineering is looking at, getting a master plan with that and working with BPU and dialing in that collaboration. Parks is looking at, okay, what is every crew doing every season of the year? That is going to be huge, and that's a national standard. This is something that you can do. There's a training program where you can send a staff person. Lisa and I have been talking about this. It's a 2-year program, and they get certified about turf management and about just how you manage your facilities and all your assets. And it's an art, it's a science, and once you drill it down, it's so easy. It's not easy. It's more when people say, "Hey, I need you to do this," you could say, "Got it. This here is going to be put off for next week," so that they know that if you get a complaint on whatever item's going to be put back, they know that's going to be put down in the lower priority. So now we can move that up. So that is going to be just a process. All of the things, every division will be looking at a process. So that will be coming.
Very good. I understand everybody has opinions on the priority list itself, like, hey, what should we put on here, things like that. But I think in general, is staff on the right track for putting this together? I think is what we're looking for, right?
Right.
I think yes. I mean, I think we're, again, with some of the comments, the caveats, the board stuff versus actual staff stuff, things like that. I think we're on the right track. I love the mowing schedule. Sounds absolutely incredible, and feeds into what we just talked about. But
Right.
Other comments, Andrew?
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little disappointed, I think, particularly with some of the grass items. Like, we set this, the first week of May? And I guess throughout the summer, I'm seeing just some disappointing issues throughout the city. The boulevards on North 8th, or not the boulevard, the grass strips on North 8th. Pretty much every time they're mowed, there's 6-inch weeds that are left around the light posts.
Oh, really?
Just every time they're mowed.
Right. And whenever you see anything, send me a picture, and when you do, I will respond with a picture when it's corrected. That's just my
If the
MO.
public wants to do
But-
that, that'd be great. Oh.
And I appreciate that. I guess I would hope we've been able to set a standard with our employees that, hey, you don't mow around the weeds. You weed whip them, or you tell somebody else with the weed whipper, hey, come back and do
Right.
those. And then another example, just today I was in Triangle. We had the 511 mark utilities because the trees went in. Somebody spent a lot of time mowing around every single flag in the park, even though I'm guessing they could just come out now. So there's little triangles of taller grass triangles inside triangle. There's little bits of taller grass around all the spectrum flags. I just feel like that's kind of a left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing problem.
Right.
I know it's a lot to manage. We've got a lot of seasonal folks.
Right.
Yeah, it just feels like we're working harder and not always smarter, which is, I know we have limited resources, so I hate to see that. That's all I got. Thank you, John.
Very good. Any other comments on the direction staff is taking with the priority list? Again, I know it's not necessarily comprehensive, and I know certainly that this will be a living, breathing thing between board and staff. But I think in general, given the comments, we're on the right track with what we want. Again, I think this is one of those things that annual prioritization and things like that are comments that we can move up or down, whatever it might be, however we want to discuss those things and really have a focus on. Yeah, to Andrew's point, that sort of mowing the grass and making it look nice is kind of priority one, I think, in general over the season. So, and again, we'll improve that as the years proceed, but I like the direction that it's taking, so I appreciate it. Any other comments on the direction of the priority list? Nope. All right. I don't know if you're looking for a motion, just direction again, right?
Yep.
All right. Yep. And so again, I don't know, again, cadence wise, when we can update the priority list or things like that, or really have focuses, but we'll just kind of, again, establish what, next year is going to look like, see where we missed, see what we hit on, and continue to try to improve. So, yes, Andrew.
Actually, maybe just kind of some concrete next steps. I think if we could see a draft yearly plan by like the November meeting, then we could tweak it and then agree on it in December so we could hit the ground running in January would be good. If we feel like that's...
Yeah, that's totally acceptable. Just to have a timeline and just say, okay, this looks good, and then we can evaluate that in the next year when we go to plan and see where we missed.
We can do that.
Very good.
Jonathan, would this be something we'd want to see like on once we establish it, like January, like would it be something like our budget that we'd, how there's all the receipts we see at the beginning, like is this something we'd want to see every meeting?
Part of the, yeah.
But like, then, we'd have to pull it out if we had a discussion item. But like, is that, and I don't know, I'm not trying to
does the council
micromanage,
do
right?
No,
Like, I
you're
don't,
good.
but I'm also like, then we kind of know, but you also have staff reports at the end, so is that the same? Like, are we trying to be like too,
Yeah. Well, how does the council handle their priority list?
Consent agenda.
Yeah. So now we have a running document that is at the beginning of every, I believe it's at the beginning. I don't think it's at the end. I think it's at the beginning of every packet now. So, and that is basically just color coded, red, green, red, yellow, green, saying where we are on things. So that could be a very similar thing that could be created here. And that can be from a higher level. It doesn't necessarily have to be so far down into the individual things. But yeah, the goal of that is,
Major projects. Yeah, I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
the goal of that is to make sure that it's constantly in front of the council. So the council is aware, here are the things we've asked to get done. Where are we with that? We don't have to continually ask for it, and staff is reminded of it, and we're all aware of the same things are happening, so.
Yeah.
I would like that.
I think that's a fine addition to the packet then.
Right.
Again, after we get it all fleshed out, we can kind of format it however you guys want and whatever works best.
Right.
But yeah, that does look very nice. So, something like that at the front of the packet wouldn't.
So I think, just to clarify, the calendar indicating that, and then having that priority listing to sort of mirror.
Yeah, and they have the council's packet pulled up here, and so just kind of modeled after that.
Or you want to do that?
Pretty sweet.
Okay,
I would say,
Yeah.
right.
as an
I think just as a standardized way of
as an organization,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
use the same
Just
one.
use the same thing. Yeah, I like that. So very good. Any other comments on the priority plan for now?
Good idea.
Very good. Yeah, awesome. We will move on to. Oh, sorry, Mike. Do you
Nope, good.
look good?
Thank you.
Very good.
Yep.
We'll move on to 7D then, the discussion update on the weed and feed program.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So we are currently at all the ball fields, JC Soccer Field, Lum Park, and College Drive. It was brought up that maybe College Drive, we remove that and we move to Gregory Park is just an option. We are, our next month, we are going to be proposing something for College Drive. So the rocks, you all know the rocks in there, right? It's almost would be like an A-frame thing that would be about 4 inches tall, and it's 6 inches on each side of those posts, and that would alleviate the rocks. And with this A-frame type of thing, it would help with our mowers, and we would mow right, right on top of that, and it'd just be a really good design for our mowers, and it wouldn't slow down staff and hitting, rocks here and there, moving a rock, getting off and putting the rock back. So the rocks really create a lot of work for staff hours. So we are looking at, we ordered a 10-foot strip, and we just want to do a mock-up to see what the park board would like, if that is acceptable or not, or if you want to go back to the rocks, or if we want to go forward getting this new design for that College Drive.
Okay.
So the weed and feed program is up, and it's always going. We put it in the budget again for '26, and so that's where it covers all the ball fields and JC and Lum Park and then College Drive. But do we want to move College Drive to Gregory Park, or that services?
Okay, well, first I'll do JD's comment on it. College Drive grass has become ragged and thin there, and the lack of proper watering ability has become a difficult area to mow. The weed and feed program would likely be better suited somewhere else in the park system. So, again, JD's comment on this, I don't, and again, we might have talked about this last time. I thought one of the conversations was, I thought we paid an outside organization. So we do this internally with this 25,000.
No, we pay someone and they
Oh.
come in and they
they're having a problem
spray
with
and,
it.
well, no, they spray and they fertilize and spray for weeds. It's
Okay, so
it's a herbicide chemical where they spray.
I think JD's saying the grass there is just not thriving.
yeah, because of the program itself. Yeah. Okay.
Or just because
Well, it's just tough
Yeah,
conditions.
it's tough.
I mean,
Yeah,
foot
tougher
strip
conditions.
grass,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Water,
Yeah.
they're not watering it.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the weed and feed program has always existed for ball fields.
Yeah.
That's always been in place before it was just paid out of maintenance funds. This program came about 4 or 5 years ago when the park board started setting money aside specifically for other green spaces outside of our ball fields. And I worked with Sean Strong, we drew up a bunch of maps, areas, tried to get a quote that matched closely to the 25,000 that we had set aside. Those maps exist somewhere, and we had a discussion at the time with the park board of saying, what are the highest priority parks? And I think Gregory was one of them, Lum Park was one of them, and there might have been a couple of other green spaces that we wanted to actively manage with that $25,000 outside of the ball fields, because that was already being done annually at the fields.
Right.
Just because it was, let's do everything, the green spaces outside of there and get that sorted out. And so I agree. I think Gregory Park is a much better use of those funds than College Drive. Without watering, you're never going to get College Drive to grow. It's an east-west street. It gets sun all day. It's just, you're not going to get the benefit from a weed and feed program. I mean, that corridor just needs to be mowed and weed whipped.
if it's green.
That's all you can do. I mean, it's, most boulevards in the city are that way, that on the east and west street, because you're never gonna get grass to grow unless you're watering it every day. So yeah, I think Gregory Park is a much better use of those funds. I like Lum Park still, not the entire park, but basically the area right around the pavilions and down to the beach. You know, you can't weed and feed that whole park. That would eat your whole budget, but I think generally Gregory, Lum Park, JC's now that we have the soccer field,
Right.
I think that one would be.
Well, I was gonna say Kiwanis and then Lyman Pete. We're gonna have events at Lyman for sure. And Kiwanis, there's a lot of events there too, but especially like in amphitheater.
We might have to be selective on areas, right? That 25,000 doesn't go very far when they're doing 5 applications a year.
Well, and I guess the conversation to be had for efficiency purposes, is it robust enough and are we spending enough money on weed and feed right now? I mean, because when this program was initially conceived, $25,000 probably went a little farther, first and
Yeah.
foremost. And second of all, now we have a whole new park that we want to keep beautiful and et cetera, et cetera. Is $25,000 enough money?
I think
to
we're gonna
cover all
need
that?
to find those original maps with Sean drew up all the square footages of everything, because that's what the contractors needed to know was how much area are we talking, what areas, how much product do I need, how many times are we gonna do this? Usually they're 5 times a year. And so, once we have the areas figured out and the specific parts of those parks that we wanna do, then we can go out and get quotes. They come back at 35,000, well, we gotta go back to the drawing board and maybe cut some of those off, right? But
And I think, again, going back to priorities, right? I want green grass and I want no weeds in my parks and I want them to be able to be mowed. So, again, a program that makes our grass look great and makes our lawns good. I'm in favor for it, but we need the numbers. So, like, how much more is it going to cost to cover these additional areas? Again, original point, let's move College Drive to Gregory Park, whatever, finances, I think a lot of us are in agreement there. But, again, further conversation on expanding it to other parks and if necessary, requesting more funds or finding another way to add this. Dave?
Yeah, I would advocate for Lyman over Gregory, just as someone that has done events in both parks. We spent a lot of money on actual sod in Lyman P.
Well, and
And
Gregory's got the benefit of shade.
Gregory holds up pretty well. I mean, as someone that's been in that park on a regular basis, the weed situation
Trees
is
get
not that
mature at
bad.
Lyman White,
Yeah,
we're gonna struggle there for a while because you need decent shade to.
yeah. Gregory, in terms of weeds, is not that, it's not that out of line.
What about Kiwanis, though? Do we go to Kiwanis at all with weed and feed?
No.
I think Kiwanis is generally pretty good too, isn't
Yeah,
it? From a grass. and-
Yeah, from a grass.
okay.
Yeah. Like Buffalo Hills, you're never gonna get grass to grow in there because
No,
it's so
it's all-
shady.
That's just,
Andrew, yep.
Yeah, my thought for Lyman P is that we're investing in irrigation there. So let's really invest and make it.
Well, yeah, for sure. Any of the parks that we have irrigated, we should be doing the weed and feed, I feel like. In the areas that are indeed irrigated, should be priority 1 because that's where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. You fertilize it, you water it in.
Be happy.
So cancel College Drive and go to Lyman P?
I think that's good direction for the end of this year, for sure, but
Yeah, sure.
Is that a 1-to-1 swap? Or is Lyman P going to be more expensive?
they're gonna have to talk to the contractor.
Okay.
Just that mobility on College Drive that's an issue. I mean, if you're a contractor going on College Drive and working, those cars are driving pretty fast down that road.
so, Jonathan, so not to be naive, but then now what happens? Like, we just mow it? Does it still get taken care of? Sorry, what happens on College Drive now?
So
if
we'll
we're not-
still mow it, we'll still
Okay.
maintain it, it just
Yep.
won't get that weed and feed,
Okay, just won't
that
have that
fertilizer.
Third
Right.
party, okay, got it. Yep. Thank you.
Good enough direction there? Yes, very good. We'll move on to the added 7E, the fee schedule.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this was just a general conversation in our department head meeting. And staff, we've already been talking about the different possibilities with the fee schedule and what, just moving forward for next year. We also, with our association with the state of Minnesota, we reached out and we asked for everyone's fee schedule. So we got about 15 to 20 different structures, our fee schedules, and we have them and we can look at them. One neat thing that Kayla looked at was that instead of charging for fields, they just charge, hey, a whole season. If you want to use this field, then it's like $200 or $300 and versus going down every minutia thing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can look at that. And now that budget cycle is up and we were just saying, hey, look at your fee schedules in your department, and if you could, if you're going to recommend something, now would be the perfect time to do that. So we could bring forth, if the board would like, something for next month and look at that fee schedule that would help out our overall budget cycle for next year.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for doing that research. So, I'm in an immense amount of favor of that. It's just something for us to chew on, and then if we can get communities that are of similar size to us and scale, and I think, I don't know, this was something we talked about before, but even getting usage information. I mean, again, I know not a lot of people are booking, some of our amenities. Like, it's not going to be a large amount, but like if we could have, how many hours, I guess, that a specific amenity has been utilized or reserved, I would say, because that's the only thing we can actually quantify. But if we could get those numbers, again, if people are reserving those tennis courts and things like that, the information that you brought to us during that discussion was really helpful during it. So I think adding, having fee schedules and stuff that are in alignment with usage as well is really
Usage
important.
and cost to maintain.
And
Going
cost
back
to
to
maintain.
a
Yep.
previous
Yep.
conversation.
So I mean, and that it all kind of ties in. So yeah, if you wanna put something like that together, I don't think, so we have it well ahead of time and we can have conversations
Right.
about it.
And I
That'd
think
be awesome.
this would be maybe more to city council, but it'd have to start here, is actually any special event. If there's a street closure, is at a $25 per street closure thing. We were gonna look at, last year, 24, okay, how many street closures did we had? We had, 30 events and we had 60 street closures. And if we did that, $25 times 60, blah, 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 now we can get that dollar amount. That is something, and again, these are just ideas.
Sure.
When you're running a municipality, all ideas could be on the table and you throw off what you don't like.
Yep.
And so it's not that when we suggest things, it's not that we're saying yes, yes, yes. We're just saying, hey, options for you to say yes and no to. And that's all that they are.
Yep, and that's absolutely perfect. Like I said, the brainstorming or other ideas or ways to improve are just always welcome in general. So I think that sounds incredible. So look forward to it. Any comments or questions on the fee schedule? Awesome. Move on to 8A then, the approval of BBBA batting cages proposal.
Thank you. And we have a representative here, and if you want to take the mic up front and just talk about your proposal. We met at the Bain and J.C. Park, and I just want to just say how much of a pleasure it has been working with BBBA and just their organization and overall. It's a solid company that is looking out for the best interest of our youth, and also not just from that perspective, but also from the aspect of our amenities. They know that they need to keep up our amenities, and they are helping big time with that. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right.
Hi, my name is Trent Grams. I'm with the BBBA. Nate Olson also was going to be here. He had a family commitment for a volleyball match, which is top priority for sure. So, what we're doing, like Mike said, we've met a couple times already. Our proposal, after using Bain and JC's quite extensively for the past X amount of years, is to put something together to help with the city to improve the batting cages that are there currently right now. Currently there's one tunnel at Bain, there's one tunnel at JC's. We would like to double that and try to move forward with two tunnels that are side by side and on a cement foundation. And so, the pictures that you have in front of you are definitely mock-ups. We kind of have a pretty clear picture in our own heads as far as what it would look like when we're done. We've been in discussion with the high-tech construction in terms of the relationship that they have with a lot of the things that we've been doing in the past. And I guess I could probably answer questions better if you have them versus, what you see in front of you, what we would like to do, and the locations, all of those things have been kind of planned out, mapped out, so.
Yeah, let's open up for questions. What questions do you guys have on the batting cages? Yeah, Andrew, yeah.
Oh,
So,
go-
yeah, we'll let Andrew.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Okay, so if you could scroll up on that screen, please, or scroll down, I'm sorry. So we have two existing batting cages, one at each, right? So we are proposing to take the one from JC, take it from there, go to Bain, and those are in the ground with a concrete, one by one footer. So they will be making a 4-inch slab, and then these will go on top of it. So what we're proposing to do is cut those off, and then they will slip into a device like that we will make, and then we will bolt it to the concrete slab. That's for the existing ones. The new ones will be their own design, something, polished, but this is what Troy has, thought of and designed, and he's done multiple of these, and so I think that will be a great use of our existing amenity, and we move them both to Bain Park. We gotta clear a couple, berms that are on the way one side, but that'll be fine. It's not a berm, it's just like more of a little hill.
Yeah. I'll say the B word.
But,
Minus one berm.
and so that was really, I just want to shout out to Troy. It just, ingenuity, he's awesome. So that's sort of the main idea. And then also Trent, turf on top of the concrete.
Correct. And what we typically see when we go to other parks, for whether it's for tournaments or anything like that, is if you want to try to kind of have longevity with what you have there, putting some turf on top of the cement is a super good way to do that. And in terms of maintenance help system there, talking with Troy too, his eyes kind of lit up with how much this would help in terms of maintaining those areas that are currently there when you're just using the natural ground for taking, batting practice in those areas. So the square footage is there in both parks for the current locations where they're at. That was one discussions that we've had with Mike is, okay, could we possibly move this to a more centralized location in these parks? But he's been able to kind of show me the vision and what's going on with different things that are possibly going to be put there instead. And so then we kind of circled back to the existing locations for Bain and JC's for the batting cages that are currently there. And there's enough room, to go ahead and do that.
Sure. Questions for Trent?
From a cost standpoint, assuming that that's,
So the cost would be on us.
Okay.
The construction of the cement, the purchasing of the standards for the two cages that would then be at JC's Park, we would accrue all of that. The discussions that I've had with Troy are more along the lines of, would the city be willing to help out with the tear down of the current locations that are there, taking out the standards that are there and maintaining those because we want to try to use them again. Everything that's there right now would have to be taken down because the work and the clearing of the area in Bain, things like that, those would be the things that we would be asking the city to try to, to take charge of, and then all of the costs after that in terms of the construction and the nets and the standards and the poles and the cement and the turf would be for us.
I think that's reasonable.
So just a blessing on, hey, can we use this area that already exists for this purpose and making it just a little bit better, and some staff time.
Well, what we've been seeing, and Brainerd right now is hosting 4 to 5 tournaments annually in the summer. We have over 100 teams that come into the community, and one thing that we notice is if you have two 70-foot tunnels side by side, you can have 4 teams warming up at once. And if you have 2 fields sitting there, 4 teams need to warm up at once before they play because they're playing against each other and they need a spot to do that. So, and with the projections as far as what else is going to be used in those other areas, then they would just be centralized in those current locations, which is ideal.
Perfect. Yes, Andrew, let her rip.
So our master plan for Bain, we've kind of envisioned, so these would go near the warming house, it sounded like, kind of where the current one.
The same spot where they're currently at. The one that's there would actually stay right where it's at. We'd have to tear down what's there, but the location of the one that's closest to the left field fence would stay there, and then there would be one just to the left of that, side by side,
Oh, okay.
towards the
Yeah.
woods.
We did look at next to that skating rink there, and that's just a nice area for general public just to sit versus a batting cage right there. So we thought just to leave them exactly where they're at and then move forward. So, Smiles, is that a different? Go ahead.
Nothing for
Oh, I
me.
thought you
No,
had, like-
No, the mayor's just making remarks about.
yeah, he's just
But
talking
burns
about.
everywhere.
Talking about berms,
More burns.
standard park
Said it,
procedure.
and now he's not going
Right.
to stop talking about it.
The one thing, Trent, so we take down the one at JC, we move it to Bain. Can you help us erect it after the concrete's there, and can you then reassemble that?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing right now is this, if the pictures, the middle pictures there with the, it'd be this middle one right here. Those are pretty identical to what the posts look like currently at both parks. And I'm not quite sure if they would be disassembled.
Yes, we would
No.
actually take them off, so
Take the
that way.
tops off the bottoms.
Right,
Yeah.
And then store them and then just assemble them again.
right, and then we would put
Yeah, the other
these
left
back
field,
on.
yeah.
Put them in the sleeves, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever assistance would be needed, in terms of helping out.
Right.
Corey, go to Corey first.
Right.
I'm not as high up the food chain as he is on our board, but, that, we have lots of baseball guys that would be
Right.
willing to help out with that, and gals.
Yeah. We'll let Dave talk.
Yeah, I
quick,
was
you know,
just gonna say, I love it. I love the turf idea. The turf will expire before the concrete will, so that would be the only thing, is just making sure we're aware of that, is that the turf will need to be replaced before that concrete needs to be replaced, so.
Yep, and I would go back to our board, with that comment, knowing, full well that we would probably, be on board for helping out with that again,
Yeah, just be
too.
mindful of it.
Yeah,
Because what we don't wanna have is a state of decay, right? We wanna make sure that we're keeping up with stuff, so we just make sure everybody's on the same page of when that turf starts to decay, we gotta figure out what the plan is, so.
Here.
So we're gonna why wouldn't we just put one new one at each park? Instead of taking the time to move an old one in case there's
I think
don't
we have, well, then we'll have two new ones in one spot, and so if we have to once those others decay, then we'd have to take one from each park and then replace them, and then they would be
Okay, so
potentially
we-
different. So we have an old set and a new set, and we know old set needs to be replaced at some time, and then the new set needs to be replaced at some time, and they won't be kind of,
And they have to be taken down anyways.
Yeah.
They have to be taken down in order to build.
yeah, so they have to be pulled anyways.
Okay.
Won't be any extra
Got it.
labor, so, very good. Motion here, folks, on this one?
I'll make a motion to approve the BBBA batting cage proposal as submitted, and direct staff to work with BBBA to get these done, installed.
Second that.
Motion and a second. Questions, comments, or concerns on the motion? Yes.
I don't think I said it yet, but thank you for
Yeah.
being a great partner for the parks, and we're so glad you're here and doing everything you can to get baseball to such a good spot here.
thank you.
Sit down.
I'm not probably allowed to do that.
Yo, you
I know
go
how
ahead.
Robert's
No,
rules work,
go
but we would like to try to move forward with this, as soon as I take it back to
Yeah, I
our
was gonna
board
say, I
as
imagine
well.
as soon as we approve this thing, staff will be right on it, so, yeah,
Okay.
well, as soon as we get her done. That's the same thing, organization's been great, they've been out in front of everything, like, hey, we need more batting cages, let's get it done, scoreboards are out of date, bam, let's get it done, like, the organization's been incredible, so, yeah, any other questions or comments? All in favor of, Mike?
No, it's just in the sense of with the concrete, are you gonna get a pump truck to pump that way back there? I think at Bain you might be fine, but at JC, I think you're gonna need, anyway, we can talk offline regarding that.
Very good, yeah, part of planning, yeah.
So,
Very good. All right, all in favor of approving the proposal, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We have a proposal approved. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Through the new sucker.
We'll move on to 8B, the approval of park crew to handle snow removal for downtown Brainerd.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this was brought up at our city council workshop. We had a workshop at the library, and it was just mentioned in general. And I think it's been sort of the trend to get the parks and the streets sort of doing some similar projects. And this is one that we could do. Pro Brother, I forget the company that did our snow removal last year, Advantage. Advantage, yes, thank you. They sold all their equipments. They're not in the business. They're not doing that anymore. And so we didn't do this for that reason. We're doing this because we have the staff, we have the equipment, and we have the knowledge and the prep to actually do this professionally. And the secondary thing is that this would save money for the downtown business owners, and it would also save the city of Brainerd funds. And the only concern with this from the staff, from the park crew, is that what about our skating rinks? So let's say they come in, there's a snow, they start at 3:00 in the morning, they're at the shop, getting the equipment ready. At 4:00, they're at their site, that would be downtown. And then the contractor would have till 10:00 to complete. They were always done way in advance. And the nice thing about this is that we are not gonna be removing the snow. We are gonna be windrowing it and putting it in the middle of the street, and then streets, when they come by and do their normal tree or snow removal, they're just going to load up that also. So they will have a little bit less work to do than the previous contractor. So this is our thought proposal. There is also, we need one new equipment. It's just a plow for one of our big heavy equipments, and that's going to help with that, all the parking lots that are downtown, or it's just the one, but the streets is just going to be really helpful for all that. We have the small tractor with a snow blower that's going to go on the sidewalk, and we have the means to do it. So we just want to make sure that when they're done at 9, 10 o'clock, now they go over to the ice skating rinks, prep them, and then they're done for the day. They will have the option to, per their union contract, to be done after 8 hours. But streets individuals, they get their overtime and they work a full schedule thereafter. And so they'll have that option to do that. So I don't think there's going to be a concern with the ice skating rinks not being prepared for that Monday or whatever the next day is. We are going to be adding a skating rink at JC. So there will be a total of 3, right? We'll have Gregory, Bain, and JC, and Memorial. So there's 4 or 5 skating rinks. So that will be one concern, what level do we want to provide with the skating rinks?
But we have the means.
We do.
Dave?
So I'll play my liaison role here. The council has not made any decision on this. So this is an item from the city that is directly paid for by the business owners downtown. It is a line item that they pay specifically themselves. So this is not.
Special services.
The special service district that.
Differently than the rest of the snow plowing. in the
Yes,
city.
so I don't know whether the council is going to support this or not. What we're looking for is the park board interested in this? Because the first question that's going to come from the council is, did you ask the park board? And the park board has the control over the park staff in order to make it happen to begin with. So if you guys are interested in it, then the council will take it on. So even if you say yes, it doesn't mean that the council is going to say yes to this. The issue with it, and I'll play devil's advocate, is right now we can place a dollar amount specifically to those businesses and say this is what you pay because this is what the contract is. I don't know what the feeling from the council will be on whether or not they support or do not support moving that into a staffing situation, because then how does that then get paid through that special service district? So I don't know where this leads to in the end, but I do know that the conversation needs to start with you guys, because if you're not even interested in it and you say not interested, then the buck stops here, potentially.
I'm interested in the sense that if our staff wants to be out there clearing snow during the winter time, and, you know, it's more efficient for the business owners downtown, and we're then going to be changing rates based on, so we're gonna charge whatever dollar amount, probably whatever the contractor paid us the last time, and then we're gonna charge the folks downtown that same amount of money 1 year, and then we come back next year and we say, hey, the staff time to do this was X amount of dollars, and so we're going to reduce your rates. If that's the plan, I'm on board with that. If we have the staff to do this, you know, better service for our folks and be able to do it in-house, I'm in favor for it. But I mean, I don't necessarily know all the logistics of clearing downtown Brainerd and what it takes and how that works. So I'll start with Paul, and then we'll move down the line.
So I guess the question would be is if the city council is still gonna consider that a special service. If it's now city staff performing the snow removal at the same time the street department starts, and they usually start downtown. The purpose of that special services district and the reason it was specially assessed is because the snow was cleared off the roads so people could access businesses much earlier than the rest of the city. And so if park staff is doing that and it's not done until 10 o'clock, is that still a special service? And from a legal standpoint, is it still specially accessible? Because if it's not a special service, I would challenge that it's probably not an accessible cost because they're not getting any improved service than what a normal business downtown would get outside of the service district.
So they'll start at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll be done by 10. So we will be done, you know, as soon as possible, but it's not that we always told the contractor that you have till 10, so.
But they were usually done much
By
before
9
that.
and so forth,
Yeah.
but that was with total snow removal. We're not even gonna be removing the snow. We're just gonna be windrowing it. So I'm envisioning we should be done relatively a lot sooner.
I foresee the argument from other businesses outside of, or businesses in the district that are getting assessed for the same service as other businesses outside of the district are not getting assessed because now that berm is still there until you come pick it up, which is the same as what happens, for example, right on Laurel Street right here. The snow stays for a day or two. So they're really not getting a special service anymore. They are simply just doing the same downtown with more staff, city staff, but they're not getting any special benefit off of that snow removal service. And so that would be my question to the city council is there still a special benefit to the folks downtown? Because I think that plays into our decision on if this is a viable way to do this or not.
And we'll let Dave rebuke here.
Yeah, sorry, not even to rebuke, I will join in your questioning. I think you're going to find people that are going to question it. Every year when we do this, we have someone that comes in and just questions it anyways. The beauty of the prior way of doing it is that's what it costs, right?
What it costs, and it is a special benefit to you because all of your snow is removed by 8 a.m. completely from the street. If we're just windrowing it in the middle and taking it out at a future date, that's no different than everyone else outside of that district.
Sure, and I don't know, I honestly don't know where the council will stand on this. I've heard mixed feelings about it. I will say that it does include the cleaning of the sidewalk, which is not something that we typically do in other areas. But yeah, you're absolutely correct that ultimately, this decision has always fallen on the people that own those businesses and those buildings. If they don't want it, and we've said this as a council, if they don't want it, we won't do it. But they've always come back and said that's something that they want. So that's the other part of this as well, is that this is something that is specifically done for those businesses at their request.
Yep.
If they are not interested in it, I think you will find that council members will lose interest in it as well. So as representatives of the people, that is our job. So, but again, before that conversation goes to the next room, because my first response would be, is the park board interested in that? So that's why you guys are receiving it first. It could all be for naught. Could be something that the council says, absolutely not, we're not interested in it. But until the conversation happens here, it can't go to the next room anyway, so.
Like I said, taking all the factors of deciding whether or not the business owners want it, deciding, again, special assessment or anything like that. There's interest there, but that's, for me, I mean, again, staff wants to do it. We have the ability to do it, and the park system itself does not suffer during the winter time. In order for us to provide this service, I'm interested. But, you know, again, that's
Agreed.
up for the council and for the business owners. I mean, I imagine this is gonna be a process of feedback and information from the rest of downtown Brainerd, and we can let the people above that, of us decide that. But I think if the utilization of our staff and making sure that what we are in charge of is taken care of during that time, and it doesn't affect the goings-ons in the park system, I'm okay with utilizing our staff for that.
And I guess would there be a cost savings? That would
Yeah.
be the other, like,
Again,
loading rates, equipment, usage, you know, I don't remember what the contract rate was, but they bid on the first 4 inches, then any additional inch after that, by the NOAA, you know, snowfall event. But I would wonder if with, 4 or 5 staff members at a loaded rate for 6 hours at a snow event, what does that equate to, and what was our last contract amount? Because if it's
Yeah.
very similar, I don't really see the benefit in doing it. And just because, why not focus more on rinks right away in the morning if it's gonna cost the same to have somebody come downtown and do it? And we're specially assessing for the costs either way.
The one thing with our time cards, we can definitely code that to the downtown. We're already starting to do that, even for like last week when we were down there doing the mulch and all that stuff. We did a preliminary look at it, and I have it here. It's but this is just something, just a rough number, but it talks about 6 hours is our time frame, and staff time you're looking at for 6 staff, you're looking at about $4,500, and then about $2,000 worth of fuel. So you're about $6,400. Our costs that we got, there was 3 snow removals last season, $8,000, $10,000, and $13,000 was the cost of that. Again, we're paying for the company to have a profit margin, and versus a profit margin going to a private company, I would like that profit to be a savings for the downtown people. And I think they would encourage that. But this is being analyzed by Connie. She's really diving into it, making sure I have the overtime rate, I have the benefits and all of those factors. But she's putting in her 2 cents, making sure that formulas are all right.
Yep.
So just from a preliminary aspect of it, $6,000-7,000, and so I think we should be pretty solid with that.
Okay.
Do you think it'll take more time though? Like, for example, those 3 numbers you shot off about the snow events, I'm assuming that's because they were deeper snowfalls, because that's how the contract was written. Will parks be able to get, for example, a 15-inch snowfall done in the same amount of allotted time
Right.
compared to a 4-inch snowfall?
The nice
removable
thing
again, right?
is that we'll have other staff.
Yeah.
If there's something like that, we can throw our streets, a couple guys on our streets. And even for the first couple times, I already talked to Sean. He and I are gonna be down there monitoring, making sure, it's even the flow of work. It's an art when you're talking about snow removal. It's not easy, especially when you look at alleys and cars, and it's literally an art. With equipment. So we already have a really pretty good game plan, but we're gonna be doing walkthroughs and so forth before we pull that trigger.
And so for clarity's sake, our park staff will only be deployed during special snow events as well. This isn't just standard, like, always.
Right?
Right, yeah,
they
4-inch
are.
snow. And we haven't determined, and Paul, you might know this, if there's a 1-inch snowfall, do we call it out?
That's typically that was handled by the street department, all the property owners downtown. We wouldn't call in the contractor unless it was a 4-inch snowfall.
Right.
Because it did not, property owners are gonna go sweep off their sidewalk. They're not gonna wanna get charged to bring in that contractor
Right.
for a 4-inch snowfall when it's only 2 inches. So
Right.
typically they would go, but that's also when you get the most complaints, because they push the snow right to the curb. They don't get that clean snow removal, so you have people jumping over snow piles. trying to get to businesses. And so if we had multiple small snowfalls in a row, we would call in that contractor after maybe 4 1-inch events. You say, okay, come
Now.
in and clean up, because
Right.
people have been shoveling their sidewalk the last 2 weeks. We haven't been able to get in there with our equipment to clean it out well, and we're getting a lot of complaints.
Right.
So, it's kind of an art form in itself to figure out when to call in the contractor and when not to.
We're also talking with staff regarding, okay, so we have a snow removal, everyone in the parking lot, let's do the street, and then everyone out of the parking lot, go to the street. We need to figure out a good way. The people that live there, they need somewhere to park. They can't park, 10 miles away and then walk to their home. So we need to have a plan that accommodates that. And I think with us, with city staff, we can do that much easier than a contractor.
Okay, well, we focus the lens here, yep, and we'll hit you guys here quick. But.
Did you want to read JD's comments quick?
Oh, yeah. In the past, it's been contracted out through the city. The agenda request summary of the issue does not state an actual issue, just an issue to something that has not been raised as an issue yet. We'd like to see a motion directing staff to put downtown snow removal out for bids. If an issue is raised later, then it can be addressed later. So, and then Kara.
I do, but you can.
Okay.
Okay, so my thing, you mentioned 8 hours, and then they can choose to stop. Maybe they don't want overtime, right? So they start at 3 a.m., we have a crazy snowfall, they have to be done by 10, so they have 1 hour to work. So how do all of our rinks get filled? Or let's say we get our first, I don't even want to say this out loud, right? But we get an early snowfall this year, and it also snows until late into next spring. How will we be able to prepare things for our parks? I know that we've had the guys like, they're gonna make those legs for that batting cage. How is there gonna be time? And I know it doesn't snow every single day. Again, I hate to even say the words, right? But I just want to make sure that our staff, even if they're super excited about it and are ready, that they actually can handle it. Because I don't want to see all the work we've done with the parks, all of us, right? We don't want to not have a skating rink. We don't want to not have all the things. And it would be great if with all of our plans, the plans that we're making to think ahead and plan ahead, that I know that's a lot of in the office stuff, but as soon as those guys and girls, if we have any, can get out there and start working on concession stands, working on cleaning bathrooms, working on bathrooms, whatever it is that they can do before they actually open. I just want to make sure our parks are continuing to be, number one, and because that is what I feel like their number one priority is. They can be backup maybe, as Jonathan was thinking, if they need to be, but I don't want to see anything change in the parks because of this.
To be very direct, I can dictate that they work their complete schedule till 2:30, 3:30, whatever it is. You don't want to push that too hard, but at the same time, there's a service that we need to provide for our residents.
Yeah, just in addition to the rinks, I would mention all the paths in the parks, right? So making sure those are plowed too, so folks can still get out and do stuff even if we had 6 or 8 inches of snow. So it's not just rinks, right? It's walking paths, JC's, Lum, Gregory, all that stuff too, that I don't want to see linger for a day and then, if someone pushing a stroller can't really go in there if it's not plowed. So a selfish interest there. Just the other thing, I'm going to be a charter nerd. The council is not designated downtown as somewhere that we are responsible for. So we cannot, and I realize the way it would work is we would say, hey, council, we'd like to clear snow downtown. And they'd say, great, we're going to authorize you to do that. But I think that's also setting us up as a park board to take care of downtown. And I'm not sure we've budgeted for that or that we necessarily have the interest in being the downtown people as much as we want to be the getting kids touching grass people. So not that kind of grass. So that's, I guess, my concern is, right, we're really opening a can of worms here that we're going to start doing downtown as a park board. And yeah, I think we have enough on our plates.
Paul.
I just had one more comment, kind of to JD's point. I don't think, has this been brought up by like any of the businesses? I mean, obviously we have the public hearings and things, and so, you know, my recollection is that this was always a service that was supported by the downtown businesses. You have the one or two that would come in during a public hearing and state their piece about snow removal and being assessed to downtown, but it was always explained as a special service. To me, this is a solution looking for a problem at this point. I feel like, to Kara and Andrew's points, I think other things will suffer. I think it's not an if, it's when, in specific circumstances. And so from my standpoint, I think in lieu of actually getting numerous complaints from downtown business owners that they don't want this service performed by a contractor, I would say that I'm not interested in changing the way we do things at this point, unless they get 50 business owners at a public hearing talking about special assessments for the downtown
We'll
district.
be looking for a motion in some way, shape, or form in either direction.
So two things, if I may.
You may.
Yep, so your motion can't be to direct staff to send it out for bidding, because that's not your guys' call. But your motion can be to inform the council that you would prefer that they sent it out for bidding.
Very good.
I'm gonna make the motion that the park board does not support park staff doing snow removal downtown and making a recommendation to council to continue the contracting obligation and soliciting bids for that work.
Very good.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are not getting involved in snow removal.
May I follow up?
You may.
No, if the council turns around and says you're doing it, you're doing it, but
Very good.
Understood.
Understood, boss. 8C, land trade with developer at Lions Park at Buffalo Hills.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have a party, a developer that has purchased the south part. If you can scroll up, down on there, the south parcel there, 1 and 2. And they purchased that. They would like to do a land swap. They would like to trade 1 and 4. So in the end, they would own 2 and 4, and we would own 1 and 3. That hasn't come formally yet before the board, but they are preparing they're working with their engineer, architects to develop something so that you could have a rendering of what's going to be going on there. And they would greatly, they purchased that outright. And so we're really excited about another development in the city of Brainerd. But they really need access to that Buffalo lane there. And if we did not give them that, we would have to give them some type of easement to have a road to go back to 1 and 2. So that's just something to consider.
Very good. Comments on the land swap? Yes.
I think we got a rendering of this like a year ago. It's like a big apartment complex, right?
Yeah, well, it's like a townhomes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different now. Never mind.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Yes.
My only question would be, we have existing easement over our trail on parcel 1, I believe.
Correct.
So that, I mean, there's still a lot of area there, but I mean, it is more, I guess, proper to have parcel 1 rather than not have it and just swap it outright. I mean,
The only, with that, the easement wasn't documented and notarized and put forth on the plot.
it was never recorded.
Correct. So,
All right, let's get them swapped out. We'll move on to 8.
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
Are you gonna show us renderings for both? Or will they have renderings if we do not support?
no, I think they're just going to be doing the one. But we can ask them to do both.
I mean,
We don't have control of this land swap, right?
yeah, so let's get right into that right to start with. Yeah, let's liaise again. Yeah, you guys don't have control over this. So you can, again, say to the council, we would prefer that you didn't do that. It doesn't matter. The council is going to make the ultimate decision on this. However, again, you guys should be the first ones to say, absolutely, we think we can do something with this or not. But in the end of the day, the council's make it. We are not required to give them an easement to this because they have access off of Graydon Avenue, off of 1 as well. So we're not required to give them an easement. But this conversation will go up to the council as well. So once you guys see it, give it your blessing, put down your foot either way, and then the council will come back.
Yes.
Do we know the general limits of what the city council has dedicated as parkland? Is it just?
That is also a great question. I don't remember how that ended up.
If that is the case, then we don't really have any horse in this race.
There is potential that that may have happened. I don't remember how we ended up on that. The conversation was whether or not to do parcel 4 that's shown there as dedicated parkland or not. I don't remember if we did or didn't, because at that exact time, there was a different developer that was looking at something very similar.
guess
So
that would-
it could be a potential that council has not dedicated that as well. I don't remember what the
I
outcome
guess
was.
that would be a research item for staff, is what is actually park board's responsibility for this? Because if we don't really have a horse in this game, then we don't have a horse in this.
Well, you may say you're not interested in parcel 1 as well. Like the city may want to develop that as something different as well. So, but I would say as general rule of thumb, this is the correct procedure for this. It should come before you and then it should go to the council, because the first question I would ask as a council member is, did the park board talk about this? So.
Very good. Any further questions, comments, or concern on the land swap? Yes, Andrew.
Just to be the master plan goblin. Generally, our plan for the second parcel for Buffalo Hills was trails, walking, ski, hiking. So to me, we can execute that in 1 as well as we can in 4. And 1 has the benefit of already having a trail that we
The
care about.
connection, yeah.
So like that makes it easier to maybe start with a loop that goes from one part of the trail to another. So I think that's actually a net benefit for us.
Especially if we don't actually have an easement.
Yeah, and we have then a second entrance into the park off Graydon, so we get a whole new. Well, we already have the trail there, but there could be more reasons for those folks to come in, which is great.
Do the Lions Club know about, does the Lions?
I think we've had communication with the Lions Club about the potential swap, so they are aware that the land could be trading hands and have a different direction. But the majority of their plans exist at the front of 3, so.
I would move that we direct staff to share with council that we generally support the land swap. I think that's what they're expecting.
It's just a discussion item, right?
Just
Just
discussion
letting
right
us
now.
know that this is potentially moving further than it did before.
Right,
Well,
and
hold
then
on, though. You have
we'll
a-
get the renderings and
You
then
have a
we'll
board
bring it
member
back
that's
to the
trying
board.
make a motion.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, oh, hey, go ahead.
But stepping on the man's
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Did I finish? I don't even remember now.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like there's a second, so that maybe answers that.
Procedurally, yeah, let the man finish
Yeah,
his.
oh, he did. He did. Yeah, very good. Yeah, motion fails to no second. Very good. We'll move on to 8D, the approved final pay request for Parks ARPA project.
Thank you, Mr. President. So those projects included J.C. Park, Lum Park, the campground, and also the beach at Lum Park. And we just waited to make sure that the turf there was coming in really good, and everything is looking really nice there, especially at Lum Park. And so, yeah, we're asking for recommended approval of final payment in the amount of $30,540.43.
So we only came over, like in all with the 3 change orders, like $6,000.
Right?
That's, I mean, not bad, right? I mean,
Government math.
35?
wow, I mean, we had to do a change order for 24, and then,
Oh,
but we were under by, it's just, government math. So. We did great.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the final pay request for $30,540.43.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are gonna pay. 8E, discussion of new location of Lions Park sign.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Lions, with that new driveway, the parking lot, the new driveway, but just we removed one driveway and we only have the one. Lions Club was saying, should we move this sign up a little bit closer? I put out some stakes there. I'm not sure if anyone had the opportunity to drive by there to look at that, relocating that. And we have the means. We have the new sign already done. And it was paid for by the Lions Club. We're ready to go with that. Before we put it up, we want to make sure if we don't want to move that sign or not. We can, shouldn't say easily. We have the equipment to move it, and we could move that to this new area if you would see fit there.
We have the means.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the sign movement? Dave?
Just want to make sure that we follow our, our standards for
Standards.
that, please.
Yes.
Very good.
Oh, nope, you had your, so we're gonna move the concrete block as well?
Correct. The foundation. Yep. And
Yeah,
then we'll
and then
fill
we're
it
gonna-
in with
Grass?
topsoil, seed it. Right.
According to standards. Very good.
According to standards.
Any further discussion on the motion? Mike?
Well, not necessarily on this motion, but I received bids for the walkway. I don't know if I should bring that back to another item, but
Yes.
whatever you would like. Bring that back.
Yeah, we gotta do the sign here quick. Yes.
Just thank you for staking this, Mike.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really-
yeah, that does, the image was very helpful. I was gonna say, I didn't go there in person, but yeah, it makes a lot more sense, there, optically, so. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We'll move the sign. 8F, the new 8F, tree placement at J.C.'s Park.
Yes, and there was that handout that for all of you there. When JD and when we were at the park for the grand opening, the re-grand opening, we noticed some of those trees were placed in an area that if we wanted to do a parking lot there, or if we wanted to do a soccer field or whatever it is, those trees are in that way. Do we want those trees to stay there for just nice shade underneath the grass? Or do we want to have more room to have an extra soccer field, flag football area? What would the park board like? When those trees were planted, they were planted, with that like gunny sack type of thing. They haven't been in the ground very long, so they're probably not rooted really well. So it'd be relatively easy to pull them back up, dig them up, and then move them where we would want. 100% on the board. It just depends on what the feel of the park you would like.
Comments on moving trees at J.C.'s Park?
Pine side of J.C.'s Park.
Pine side of J.C.'s Park, yep, where there's nothing.
Yeah, if you guys don't have comments, I have a few comments.
Yeah.
So just for this part of this park specifically, because we moved forward with J.C.'s and because we used the ARPA dollars and kind of put a time frame on that, we're ahead of schedule on where we typically would have been, where the diagonal parking that we're hoping to place on Pine Street to help alleviate the parking that we didn't quite put enough in on the other side of the park, we're a few years out on that. So the park board has never really fully had a conversation about what that would look like in terms of parking here on what in the meantime it is. And I know you guys had that as a discussion a couple meetings ago, but I just want to make sure that we're just being mindful that for at least a handful of years before we get to that diagonal parking, there's going to be a need for some kind of overflow parking every once in a while on that grass area. The other thing as well is that at some point we are going to want to put some kind of path from this Pine Street through that area that's shown on the southeast corner here. So just as long as we're being mindful of any placement of trees so that that can be present as well.
Very good. Thank you, Dave. Other comments on tree relocation?
Well, I think it would be best to move them sooner than later, especially if they're still in their little sacks, so they would still have a chance to survive. I just am not 100% sure, like, if these are the best spots to put them, but, you know, probably we would want to do that this fall, is what you're thinking, right? Before.
Correct.
Yeah, yep. So I don't,
Andrew, do you have the master plan up?
I know, I'm keep looking.
There's not
What do
really.
we have over there?
Picnic tables and grass. Totally different.
And I say they should stay. I mean,
They should stay where they are.
Yeah, I mean, the trees as they sit right now don't affect the diagonal parking, correct? Like
Correct.
the idea on that?
And we had pretty good parking there. If you were, when you walked through there, we had probably an extra 20 spots.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and I don't want this to turn into a parking lot. I really don't. I think that this is good, usable land for green space. But just in the meantime, it's functionality wise, you know, being able to have that little bit of support. Because for the 4 baseball tournaments that come through town, we're gonna have to figure something out, right? And we're just ahead of schedule because we're not gonna tear up Pine Street in order to put diagonal parking in there until that street's ready to be fixed, so.
Sure. Andrew.
Yeah, I kind of see 2 futures for this space. Either it's like an overflow activity area. So, right, once we have angle parking, it's either we can fit another flag football field or a small soccer field in this space. And so that would lead me to having the trees kind of on the periphery, but offset a little bit. So we could have picnic tables in some shady area that's not in the woods. The alternative, I think, is this is a woodsy, foresty area that's great to walk through. There's benches. It's a nice place to be. And that, I think, kind of interspersing the new trees even more, so having a couple closer to the street would fit. And I think, a little torn about which one I like more. I would probably want to get some input of Councilmember Johnson or folks in the neighborhood about what they use the park for, because I'm not in that part of the park.
yeah,
very
would a
well.
flag football or soccer field even be? I think that space is big enough. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, we walk that. If we move those trees and have a flag football, again, when you're talking the little kids, the flag football, and even the soccer, you can go, like, the existing soccer at JC Park, we could, you know, we could turn it the other way and have 2 games going on at the same time. So it's essentially like a square. So there's quite a bit of programming that you could do.
I think I'm more leaning towards ripping him up and making room. Again, we gotta have a pathway. We've gotta have parking for this. I mean, we're gonna do batting cages. The thing just opened back up. The parking was not necessarily super good at the event, just in general. So to alleviate some of that, even for now, again, I know we're also talking about not parking cars on the grass, but you know, we are gonna run into some issues there. As a person in the neighborhood, it will be pretty severe if, you know, for the residents across the street, if we don't have some place for these folks to park and unload. So I think we got to move the trees as much as I don't like to, because I like that green space, but to have a walkway and then be, you know, with the angled parking there, it's just going to be better to have those out of the way and move the picnicking type area closer to the fringe, because a lot of those trees yield well to having picnic tables in that spot anyway. It's a very dense area over there, so I think moving them's probably the right play.
I did a little quick mapping on GIS. It'd be like 130 by 150. So that would fit a small soccer field.
Yeah.
All around, or just a place for kids to play catch while their older, younger sibling is at
Dinking around, yeah. I think moving the trees is just fine. Since we can still do it, we have an opportunity to without destroying them. Let's just scooch them.
Scooch them. Let's make that part of the motion. Scooch it.
The scooch. Any other thoughts on this tree placement situation? Alrighty, we'll be looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to move the 3 trees that are currently in JC's park to, are we doing it to the proposed tree placement that's on this map?
I think it works, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Dave?
Just make sure that that one on the southeast is out of the way
Yeah,
for the
we-
trail.
Yeah, again, it's a good proposed spot. Let's just make sure it's closer to the tree line as it said, so we can continue that pathway.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, yep. I mean, I know it's all approximations but we want to put a pathway there from the street, so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. We're scooching trees, very good. 8G, the Lum Park Arch. We'll let Dave have.
Yeah, so I was approached by one Corey J from Advantage Home Pros. He saw the footage and the news articles about the Lum Park Arch and has offered to pay and to install a new roof using composite shakes on the Lum Park Arch. Now, as a part of this, what he had said was he's not interested in any of the crown molding or anything like that, or any of the other additional things that may come with the fixing of the arch. But in terms of that roof that is on there, he would love to take that on as a project from his company and pay for and install that himself.
Very good.
But what I'm looking for from you guys is approval for him to do so, and I believe he wants to do so now. So I think he's ready to rock, wants to get it done, and then it is an item that we have $6,000 in the budget for. I think the smart play would be to keep that into the budget because it's such a small amount, and then that could then be used for the rest of the upkeep on that arch to make sure that that project is completed next year.
Radical. I'm on board.
So moved.
Does he want like a sign that says like, is he requesting any kind of like little stake that says brought to you by?
So Corey, great individual, wants to do this as a good gesture towards the city, but also when I said, do you want a plaque or something along those lines, he said, I'm not looking for anything permanent, just while we're doing it, we'll put up a sign, and then, you know, as a city, we'll make sure that he gets thanked appropriately and that people are aware that that project was completed by them.
That's super nice of them.
Also, it would be composite shakes, so they should last longer, so.
That's
So
huge.
just the roof?
Just the roof. So and it is a actual peaked triangle roof. It's funny because it looks like it's not when you're standing from the one side, but when you get, super weird, because when you get to the other side and you look at it, it's just, you know, a nice little teepee A-frame roof. But there is some crown molding and stuff that would need to get done. There is some tuck pointing that would need to get done with the rocks. He's not interested in any of that. He's just interested in taking care of that roof portion for us to get it done and secured.
Very good. We do have a motion on the table right now looking for.
I'll actually make a proper motion. I'll make a motion to approve Advantage Home Pros to replace the roof on the Lum Park Arch and direct staff to move the $6,000 budget to maintain the rest of the archway, tuck pointing, crown molding, whatever else needs to be done.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I think the archway as it's listed in the budget just says the Lum Park Arch, so I don't think it breaks it down between roof or anything, so. But I do think a smart play would be leave it put, it's not $1 million, it's $6,000 that way. If it, you know, if we run into some kind of issue, we can take care of it.
Radical. Yes.
I didn't mean to say just, because I'm very appreciative. I think it's great. I was just confirming that he was doing the roof. I think it's amazing. Make sure that's on record. I didn't mean like, oh, just, you know, like,
Yeah.
I-
Right, stop in there, huh? Yeah, no, I get it.
It's gonna be awesome.
Andrew, yeah.
Semi-related. The dispatch had a photo from, I think, 100 years ago when MnDOT made 210. And it's got that thing looking exactly the same. So I really appreciate that he's willing to put shakes on it and keep it as a historical looking.
Yeah, it was. I was like, is that? Oh, it is.
It was.
Okay.
I was like, there's
Yeah,
nothing
it's
there
the-
except
it's
trees
the
and then
same
that thing.
in
It's
the
like,
arch. Yep. Huh? Very historical. Very good. All right. Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the arch motion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Corey. We'll move on to 9A, staff reports. Let her rip.
The only thing is at Lions Park, we did get the bid back for the concrete path from the parking lot to the restroom. And should I bring that forth to the next meeting, or can we get approval, or can I add this for approval?
I mean, I guess I'm not sure.
I've never tried to amend an agenda after.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I would say not.
I think we gotta come back next
Okay.
week for this one.
Totally
I
good.
guess I don't know the procedure on that one,
Right.
so.
The only other, I do have, I'll just indicate that we did get the bids, and the Lions, our Lions Club, they're looking to see if they could get approval to do the 8-foot wide. So we got the bid for 5-foot wide, and they are looking to get funds if the board would approve for the 8-foot wide. And they are moving forward with their grant writing with that park, and we're meeting with different playground manufacturers to find the right suit for that area. And then other than that, I think the staff report that we're going to be doing, you have the next, right? And then we'll just talk about the next items on here. So that's all that I have.
Radical. Let her rip.
I don't have any updates since the packet was published, but if you have any questions about any of the events, you can let me know.
Questions on events? Nope. I believe so.
Did you want us to review the movie in the parks that we've had?
They were awesome.
Right.
So.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess that's really all it was to me. I think that's plenty good. They worked out great. I think again the frequency's good. I think the
And
movie
we're
selection's terrible, but just
And then we're working on the Great Pumpkin Festival, go ahead.
So the Great Pumpkin Festival is October 4th, 1 to 4 o'clock at Memorial Park. And we'll have bounce house, face painting, pumpkin bowling, 3-legged race. There will be concessions and a bunch of contests.
radical. Dave, what?
Yeah,
comment?
I think at some point we should try and get a sponsor attached to something like this. So Great Pumpkin Fest presented by, and just send out an ask to a couple places. Even so much as like $1,500 from somebody to sponsor the Great Pumpkin Fest every year would go a long ways in us being able to have it be a reoccurring and successful event. So, and I do think something like this is something that people would be interested in sponsoring.
I think, as we found last year, I think the coordination of that was, none of you, were you guys even there? None of you guys were on for last year's festival. So, yeah, I mean, it is kind of internally difficult for us to, it was, we pulled it off, certainly, but.
2 years in a row.
We put
2
a lot
years
of,
in a
2 years ago.
No,
yeah.
2 years in a row we pulled it off.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, it is challenging. So to have a sponsor that might be able to lend a few hands outside, I mean, again, even if women of today outside of the concession stand want to do that, I think Team Ascension helped us a little bit during the time that we ran it too. So, a lot of, again, getting settled in, I get it. But yeah, same thing, if we can just attach service groups or any sort of folks to these types of things, it's going to take a lot off of you because there's a lot cooking to this, and there's a ton. So
A lot of kids.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, still looks great, and yeah, again, great idea to move it back to Memorial. So given that we already experienced the parking at JC's this last week, so excellent. Let's see. So after the Pumpkin Festival, JD had for the JC's grand opening, so he had a little 9E here. There were over 100 people in attendance. Kids really seemed to have a great time, and it was awesome to see kids outside and active in our parks. Many entries to the drawings. Of those who entered drawings, 70% of the people put their address or city on the slips. Of those who did, they came from the following locations: 75% from Brainerd, 15% from Baxter, 6% from Pequot Lakes, and 4% from Breezy Point. So awesome. Again, the parking did pretty miserable. So just from a neighborhood perspective, I mean, it wasn't incredible. So yeah, so I'm still kind of in favor of the miserable grass parking. I mean, we've got to figure something out, especially with the, with the turnout that the BBBA is expecting. We've got to figure out some orderly way to help folks park on that street and haul stuff and things like that, because it's gonna not be great. I think with the parking, the way we set it up maybe didn't have that sort of attendance in mind. So, Dave.
Yeah, I would just say, like, as somebody that has went through baseball and spent a lot of time going to these tournaments and stuff, we like to look at our stuff and say that, like, oh, we should be able to park right next to everything. I have yet to go to a baseball field in which there's parking anywhere near where I end up. So what the city has done is create something that is going to look good in the future. Right now, we're going to have a few hiccups for the first couple of years while we figure it out. But once that park eventually gets its footing, I think that parking situation will fix itself out. So, but I think you are correct. In the meantime, we are learning that we're going to have to be a little flexible with that parking in that situation for that park.
It's probably going to be not great initially, so we'll have to
For a
just
couple
kind of
years,
keep our
yeah.
eye on it. Yeah, for sure. So, because the event itself, which probably isn't even going to have as many folks to it as a couple of baseball games, was pretty bad. So, anything else from staff? No? Very good. We'll move on to item 10, board member reports, and we'll start with JD. Well, just thank you from park staff for the help in making sure the JC's Park Grand reopening went well, and a reminder to all park staff, the rule of no vehicles in the parks also applies to staff, and it is his expectation that it is followed. So, again, it's going to be a bit of a buzz, I think, at least on Pine Street, the parking in the parks. But again, staff needs to stay out of those parks where we with those vehicles. So, and nothing from Paul. Myself, just noting the graffiti under the bridge between Kiwanis and the Lyman P path is starting to get bad again. I mean, again, Team Ascension did a great job covering up the last time. Wouldn't mind having them reach out. It's just been progressively over the summer. It's just been one piece after another over the course of the summer. So it's starting to pile up again underneath there, and the paint itself is that they put over it is starting to kind of wear and get kind of chippy and kind of hideous. So we should probably take a gander at additional solutions for that. And then down at Lyman P. White, coming down that where you would normally have a great view of the river there, down in that lower bowl area, it's completely obstructed by vegetation. So I mean, you can look slightly to the left and see the river still, but that view is completely gone. And some of that vegetation is starting to come up on that observation deck as well. So again, I don't know exactly what we can do immediately, but in the future, that's one of the best views in the entire park system. And the river gets covered up by that veg. So
There was 2-year maintenance that the city paid for the vegetation and buckthorn removal on the grant, the LCCMR grant. We extended that to do river restoration. And so the contractor is on the hook for 2 years to maintain vegetation on that whole shoreline.
That would indicate this year too?
Yeah, because that project was completed last year. I believe.
yeah, I think we closed the books on it last summer. Yeah.
Yep, and so there is a 2-year maintenance period that the city paid for upfront.
Yeah, it's
Contractor's on the hook for it.
it is pretty obstructed down there. So again, and probably just something that we'll probably have to look forward to as the years go by.
It
But
was just buckthorn vegetation management, so if that's what it
Yeah.
was, then
then yeah,
that's what they're on the hook for, but for other random vegetation, they're not.
yeah, this is it's pretty tall down there. You can see it probably from the road now. So that is it for me, and then we'll move on to Andrew.
Are those the safety bushes we put in by the playground?
No. So like it's kind of like when you go through the park and then you have the observation deck here, right? And then to the left you can walk down and there's kind of that seating area.
Yeah,
That and then where the canoe launch.
That wasn't a part of that project. So.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. The canoe launch area that you would walk down to. It's it's that lower bowl area. So if you were to sit on any of those seats there, it'd be totally obstructed if you were just looking straight forward. So you can kind of peek around it and see the river from there, but otherwise it's nothing there. You're just looking at veg. So yeah.
Cool. I had a question. Did we have a contractor plant the trees in Triangle this year? Yes. Okay. They're mostly dead. Yes. One is essentially dead, and then two are pretty rough. So if they could maybe, I don't know if it's too late to replace them.
It depended if there was a warranty or a maintenance period in the contract.
If yeah,
in that park? Is there sprinklers in that park?
no.
Okay.
Over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 500 foot. Yeah. Water pressure upgrade. Yeah. And then just thanks to JD for pulling together some of the special guests at the JCs. That was a good time.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, can we get an event, please, for the posting next time? So, because as much as I follow the Parks and Recreation Facebook page, if you don't interact with it very often, it gets just buried. That's the way that the Facebook feed algorithm works. But if you put an event specifically for something, anybody who has Facebook and is within a 50-mile radius can see an event. So even if they don't follow the page or anything like that, it will be listed under the events area, so then so folks can see it. So it has a lot better exposure. So just outside of making the posts, make an event for what we got cooking. So and you don't have to update the event or anything like that. Just make one, and then it'll just continue to climb up that list of events within the radius of wherever they are. Then they can see it. So because my wife and I use that all the time to see what's going on in the city and what we can go and do. And wherever you are, it just takes a radius around it, and we'll show you the most recent thing. So anytime we've got anything cooking within the system, just throw an event out there, and then you can just set it and forget it from there. But
Right.
Yeah, the posts work, but again, algorithmically, they're just not going to show up on people's feeds unless they go deep.
Right.
If they've never interacted with it. Whereas the event just stays right at the top if it's happening now type of thing. It's just right there
Right.
for anyone.
So very specific. I don't
Yeah,
do
no,
Facebook.
totally. Yeah,
so do you guys got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, that was the only one that honestly hasn't been on the page, but that was one of those where I was like, oh shoot, I didn't see the original posts on my Facebook feed at any point, and that's again not anybody from staff's fault, but just the algorithm is going to do that to me. It's going to do that to other people. So same thing.
So do a special event.
So just
do an
throw an event.
for
I mean,
on
again, you
Facebook.
can make a post introducing the event and then never have to touch the event itself ever again unless you
Okay.
can make some updates. But that is, it's for the platform itself really, really important for event awareness. So, but yeah, also thank you JD for getting all the folks to come to that. Like I didn't even realize that it was going to be that star-studded, if you will. So radical.
Just a second thing. Thank you, Lisa, for confirming that someone had reserved the warming house at Gregory on Saturday, and then, despite all the warnings, drove a pickup truck in to bring an entire gas grill to the warming house, which is a bummer when I get a photo of a pickup truck and people loading a gas grill by the warming house and destroying grass and turf in the park and certainly the concrete. So that's a bummer that folks are still ignoring those warnings, and I don't think there's anything we can do, but it stinks. So that's all I got.
Nothing. Dave, would you like to speak on any matters?
Yeah, I think I just want to speak on behalf of the citizens of Brainerd about this summer. I think you guys had a fantastic summer with parks. I think that things went pretty well, and that aside from a few programs here or a few things there that we had some hiccups with, I think it was a pretty good year. And we still got some stuff to iron out. We still got some stuff to work on, but I think all in all, it was good. This is August, so now we get to do the hard work of getting ready for next year already. But I think I just want to extend that, not just as the mayor, but as a citizen, that I think that the parks went well. Secondary to that, there's been just a lot of discussion about like adult programs and and that sort of stuff. And I think that it would behoove the board to start just being a little proactive and maybe be setting up some kind of subcommittee or something to just look at where you guys want to head with those things and getting ahead of it. So if you guys are interested, I think it would be smart to figure out where your stuff lies. And we had the agenda item tonight with the youth sports. Just where are we going and what are we doing, and making sure that we have our eyeballs and our targets set to the right things. It's the fairest way for staff. It's the fairest way for the public. So at some point, I think maybe take a couple members, put them in a room, come back with some options, and start looking at where you guys head for that stuff. But I think we're to a point right now where we're in that lull, right, as we talk about our yearly cycle, that this might be a good time to start taking a peek at those types of things and figure out what your visions are for those things. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Anybody else? We'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.